recently I was in a grappling situation in which there's a huge strength disparity between me and my partner. It seemed like every grip I went for, when my partner came and used his force and directed it at me, like I would immediately lose my grip, and I would also immediately feel some joint ache because I would grab and then any kind of push against me, my fingers would go, and I felt a little uncomfortable in this situation. So in these little trials, and they happen for everyone, we'll all go to like our different grappling sessions and sometimes have a role in which our partners will be a lot stronger than we are. And in this video, we're going to look over 3 different means by which I have control over my opponent's distance, my partner's distance. So, and I can do these 3 safely. I have other means by which to control space and exert and keep my partner at bay, no matter what the strength disparity is. But these are 3 of what I consider my safest means by which I have control. So our first one is that we're all going to be pretty familiar with this. It's going to be when I am in bottom of side control. So I'm here and my partner has me pinned, just like this. Now from here, I can use my wrists and things to push, and then the issue of this is that any kind of difference in weight and my hand gets jammed. So if I'm pushing here and my partner changes his weight distribution, then my wrist is getting jammed. So a common way of controlling this distance and alleviating some of this pressure is to use our humerus bone right here. When I can insert this into my partner's neck, I can use this to safely frame, because this bone, not muscle, isn't going to go in. It's not going to go back into me. It's safe to frame using this because it doesn't have the ability to constrict back in unless my bone happened to break, which isn't very likely. So that's one of our most common means of controlling some space, by using this humerus bone, which is a very safe means of exerting some kind of control. Now our second means by which we can control our partner is by incorporating our legs. So here I'm going to have a half guard. When I have half guard on my partner, just like this, I have a means of controlling him, controlling some space, by inserting this femur across the length of his body, just like this. Notice I can control space using this, because again, just with my humerus bone, this is just not muscle. This is just going to be able to extend out. This is incorporating the skeleton. It's not a push. It's just using the length of this bone, the natural length, to keep him at bay. This is one means to do it. Another means to incorporate our femur bone is from our guarded position. If I have guard on my partner and they are crazy strong, I can look, because maybe these arms are winging at me, maybe it's a self-defense situation. In order to control these tools of his, it might not be possible for me to go arm against arm. In that case, I can incorporate those femurs as a means of going into open guard control and using the length of just my skeletal structure to keep him at bay. Now he can't go through without first destroying that whole bone, which isn't going to be possible in any healthy individual anyways. So the last one that we'll be going over is kind of a more controversial one, in that we are looking to control someone using the bone structure of our neck and head to manage distance. In these cases, if, say, I wanted to control someone's posture, what I can look to do is insert my head under theirs. Those familiar with wrestling will be very aware of this kind of position and this kind of lock, where I can insert a lot of directional force into his head, and I'm not at risk of being taken as much because it's relying on the length of the spine. Our head can have immense force against someone. Our head and neck, and as John Danaher talks about, our head and neck are kind of like a huge ball and chain because they're connected at the length of our spine. So when we're doing this, I have the means of exerting a ton of pressure into him to keep my posture lower than his, or to get him where I want to. I could also do this on top too, as a means of keeping him down. But the reason this would be considered controversial is because if I use my head in certain circumstances, then it might also result in my neck being exposed. So if I'm using it, for instance, if I'm on top and I use my head as a means of pinning someone, down, if I'm like this, and I love this, I love placing my head inside my partner's abdomen here, because I can start to take away their breath. But the issue is that if I place my head here and my partner can a little bit push off to his side, then I have all of this neck exposure to which they can wrap up like a guillotine. Also, the issue of using our head in some circumstances is that in our jiu-jitsu, especially for sports, we're very familiar with attacks being directed at the throat area, at my neck, from these little choke attempts and what have you. But another way in which you can submit someone by attacking their neck is you can wrap up more of like a reverse rear naked choke grip, and you can attack their neck by bending it this way, which is more in your self-defense style of jiu-jitsu. And that would be another reason in which using the neck to frame can be a little more dangerous than the others. The reason I am going to keep this one in there is because the neck is just an amazing means to exert pressure on someone, and that's especially the case if there is a strength disparity. And when it comes to keeping someone down, you might need every little tool you have, and you should definitely consider using that one. But these have been my thoughts on this topic, and I hope you have enjoyed this video and definitely got something out of it. But thank you so much for watching, and take care.